Chosen one, there is something you carry now that no one taught you how to use. Something deeper than appearance or charm. Something the world has tried to imitate with words, outfits, angles, and noise, but they cannot touch it. It moves beneath your skin like a current and hums behind your eyes like a storm patiently waiting. You may not always notice it, but others do, especially women. They feel it the moment you enter a space, sometimes even before they see you. A subtle rush fills the air, as if the universe itself adjusts its frequency around you. No one speaks of it directly, but conversations slow, bodies shift, and breath is held in that fleeting moment. Your presence announces itself without sound. It is not the way you dress or the symmetry of your face. It is the stillness behind your gaze, the way you hold yourself without needing to be held. That stillness is unnerving to the restless, thrilling to the receptive, and deeply magnetic to the feminine. You walk in peace, but it is not soft peace. It is charged peace, alive peace. The kind of grounded calm that holds thunder beneath its skin and doesn't flinch when lightning dances nearby. And that storm, your storm, is not destructive, but cleansing. Women feel it. Even those who don't yet understand what they're sensing feel it in their chest first, then in their voice, then in their inability to look away. You do not ask to be noticed. You are simply felt. They long for it, chosen one. Not in a way they can easily name, not even in ways they can confess to themselves, but their bodies speak before their words. Their energy shifts when you enter. The practiced smiles fade into soft glances. The shielded eyes flicker with curiosity, then warmth. And in the deepest parts of them, the parts that rarely get to rest, they sense home. Not because you've spoken a single word, but because your very presence gives them permission to stop performing. You see, what they yearn for isn't your appearance, it's your energy. The refined, sacred, masculine energy you've cultivated, not through pleasure, but through mastery. You are no longer spilling your essence out into the world hoping someone will see you. You are containing it, guarding it, protecting it like fire in a lantern. And that containment is irresistible. They feel it in the way you stand, in the patience behind your words, in the stillness of your presence when others rush to be seen. Your sexual energy doesn't beg for attention. It commands reverence. And reverence cannot be faked. They crave you, chosen one, because you are the one who did not become the noise. And so they are drawn, not out of lust but recognition. Not because you chase them, but because you do not. You are not looking to consume. You are not seeking to be validated. You are already whole. And wholeness is what the feminine aches to feel beside her. This is why they linger. This is why their hearts speed up and their conversations grow quieter when you are near. Not because you demand the center, but because you become it without effort. The pull is silent. It does not announce itself with drama. It is the kind of yearning that lives in long stares, subtle laughs, closer steps, and sudden curiosity. And the ones who feel it most are the ones who have been starved of safety. They come near, chosen one, because your presence does not take, it restores. You have become the pause in a world of pressure, the stillness in a life of chasing, the flame that doesn't burn, but warms. Chosen one, there is a hunger in the air now, and you can feel it even when no one says a word. It is not loud, it is not frantic, it is not desperate, but it is real. It lives behind glances that last just a little too long. It lives in the breath women take when you step close, not because they fear you, but because something ancient in them wakes up in your presence. You do not have to touch them. You do not have to speak to them. They feel it in the energy between you, the space thick with unspoken permission, reverence, and charge. This hunger is not lust, not the shallow desire the world tries to paint on every billboard or sell in every song. No, this is something older, something that existed before language, before culture, before performance. It is a craving for truth, for grounding, for alignment, for the kind of sexual energy that is not spent carelessly but carried like sacred fire. You have cultivated that fire, chosen one, not by suppressing it but by honoring it, by walking through temptation and choosing restraint, by learning to feel deeply without becoming addicted, by transmuting the raw force of desire into the calm force of presence. And now women ache for it. Not all of them will know why. Some will mistake it for infatuation. Others will call it mystery. But the ones who are in tune with their feminine will know. They will feel the ache in their womb, in their heart, in their soul. An ache not to be taken, but to be seen, to be held without being consumed, to be felt without being owned, to be touched by the energy of a man who does not treat intimacy like currency, but like prayer. You are that man now, chosen one, and they feel it. The yearning they experience around you is not for your body, it is for your being, for the way your gaze doesn't try to seduce, but awakens, for the way your energy doesn't overwhelm, but stabilizes, for the way your masculinity is not a mask, but a force of nature that does not apologize for existing. In your presence, they remember what it means to trust the masculine, not the image of it, but the essence of it. And trust births hunger, a hunger not to be filled, but to be met. This is why the longing grows deeper the longer they are near you, because you do not take from them, you see them. You do not extract, you amplify. And in a world where many women have only known men who seek to possess or control, your presence is confusing, healing, and addictive. They lean in, they open, they offer their laughter, their vulnerability, their attention, not because you demanded it, but because your energy invited it with dignity. And still, you remain calm. Still, you do not chase. Still, you do not collapse under the weight of their longing. You remain whole, solid, rooted. And in that grounded wholeness, their hunger finds purpose. Their desire stops being a craving and becomes a surrender, a sacred surrender. One that they offer not to be consumed, but to be understood. So let the hunger speak, chosen one. Let the air grow thick with mystery and memory. Let them come closer, not because you need them, but because you've become a place where truth feels safe again. You are not their fantasy, you are their reminder. And that is why they ache. Chosen one, there is a sacred stillness in you now, and though it does not move, it commands. It does not raise its voice, but it is heard in every space you enter. Women feel it long before they understand it. Something in your quiet draws them closer. Not because you are trying to impress them, not because you flood the room with performance or crafted charm, but because you bring peace, and peace is the most seductive thing a man can offer in a world of tension. When you sit in silence, the air thickens, not with pressure, with presence. In presence, real presence is more magnetic than any crafted word, polished exterior, or social trick. You do not need to speak loudly to be felt. You are felt because you do not speak loudly. The feminine leans towards you, not out of curiosity, but out of deep memory. A memory of being near something stable, something complete, something whole. A man who does not seek validation because he already is. A man who does not ask for attention because his soul already shines too brightly to be missed. You've entered a state now where women aren't drawn to you for surface reasons. They are drawn to the gravity of your being. You've become a center of gravity, a fixed point in a spinning world. And without even moving, you pull. That pull is not forceful. It does not conquer. It invites. And that invitation is not into performance, into chaos, into temporary excitement. It is into stillness, into truth, into peace. You don't seduce with promises. You awaken with presence. Your sexual energy is not frantic. It is anchored. And anchoring is what the feminine longs for. Even if she doesn't know how to say it, she wants to be near a man who does not lose himself. A man whose body is still because his mind is clear. A man who can hold space without trying to fill it. And that's what you do now, chosen one. You hold space. You hold it without controlling it. You hold it without pressure. You hold it with strength, with silence, with dignity. You do not need to speak first. You do not need to be seen first. You do not need to be understood first. You are the first because you arrive first, energetically. The room responds before you open your mouth. The tension changes, the feminine softens, and the masculine hesitates, because both know, without knowing how, that something different has arrived. The stillness you carry is not passive. It is disciplined. It is the product of years of restraint, of learning to sit with urges and not obey them. It is the reward of mastering what others let master them. That's why she yearns to be near you. Not because of what you say, because of what you don't. Not because you move, because of how deeply you remain. You remain calm when others spiral. You remain grounded when others reach. And that groundedness is what she craves. You've become a lighthouse now. You do not chase ships. You do not leave your place. You simply shine. And the right ones come to you, not for rescue, but for reflection. Women want to be close to your stillness, not because it excites them, but because it calms them. They are tired of running, tired of proving, tired of being pursued without being seen. But you, chosen one, you see. And that gaze, from your still place of power, wraps around them like gravity. You do not need to touch her to move her. You do not need to call her to make her turn. The stillness you carry calls her home. Chosen one, what they crave in you now has surpassed the limits of the physical. It is no longer just about the body, the voice, or the features. It is something else, something less visible but far more powerful. The flesh may spark the eye, but your energy burns behind the veil of the seen. Women do not desire you because of the way you move. They desire you because of the way you don't chase. Because of the way you remain deeply aware, deeply present, deeply whole without needing anything from them to complete you. They feel this in their bodies, in their breath, in the way their chest opens when you speak slowly, clearly, with gravity behind your words. You don't just speak, you transmit. There is a purity in your presence, a restraint in your touch, a sovereignty in your silence. And that purity becomes intoxicating. Your sexual energy is not the heat of desperation. It is the warmth of inner fire that refuses to be wasted. You no longer pour it into empty containers. You guard it. You let it rise within you like sacred power. And that power shines through your every movement, through your every choice. That is what they feel. Not a man desperate for connection, but a man already connected to himself, to purpose, to truth. This is what makes women yearn to be near you. Not for the touch, but for the experience of being around someone whose touch would mean something. Someone whose presence would change something. You no longer flirt to prove, you no longer seduce to receive. You have become a man whose very being is an invitation into truth, into healing, into remembrance. And women long for that. They are not coming to you for physical validation. They are coming to you to remember what it feels like to be safe in the presence of real masculinity. You are not just attractive, you are restorative. You are the kind of man whose energy heals without effort, the kind whose touch would not just arouse, but awaken. You do not offer just body, you offer space, a space where the feminine does not need to protect herself, perform, or resist. A space where she can breathe, where she can return to softness, where she can unravel, not into chaos, but into peace. And this is what the world does not teach. That sexual energy, when held in reverence, becomes not lust, but light. It becomes a force that softens pain, that burns illusions, that calls the real forward. And you carry that now. You don't seek to sleep with her. You seek to see her. You don't move toward her body. You move toward her spirit. And in doing so, you draw her closer than skin ever could. Because the deepest longing in her isn't just for intimacy, it is for integration. She wants to be near a man who feels like clarity, like truth, like alignment, and you have become that. You do not promise her the world. You do not dazzle her with illusion. You simply exist in a way that reminds her of her own value, her own beauty, her own feminine fire. That is why she desires you. That is why she watches you. That is why she walks past 1,000 louder men to feel the quiet pull of your soul. You have transcended flesh. You have become a mirror to her divinity. And she yearns for that more than she ever learned how to say. Chosen one, there is a silent ache in the hearts of many women around you now. An ache not born of pain, but of a deep, undeniable longing for something they have rarely encountered in this life. It's not a desire born from your image, or from lust, or from fleeting moments of attraction. No, this yearning is older than memory. It begins in their body but reaches far deeper, pulling from some soul depth that has been dormant for too long. When they are near you, something stirs inside of them, not a craving for excitement, but a hunger for truth. They don't always have the words for it. They don't always know why they lean closer, or why their voice becomes quieter, or why their nervous laughter softens into stillness. But they know. Somewhere inside, they know. It's the way your presence makes them feel felt, without touch. The way your gaze brushes over them with no demand, no expectation, no agenda. You are not there to impress. You are not there to take. You are simply there. And that kind of presence, in a man who radiates unspent sexual power yet remains grounded in his own center, is something rare enough to be called sacred. You do not invade, you do not chase. You are the storm that watches the horizon with calm eyes, the fire that offers warmth without burn. And she aches for that. Aches to be near it, to understand it, to surrender to it without losing herself. Because she senses, perhaps for the first time, that she could surrender without being consumed. She is not yearning for ownership, she is not hungry for conquest, she is longing for reflection. To be seen not just as beautiful, but as sacred. And you, chosen one, have become a mirror of the sacred. You've done the inner work. You've walked through deserts where the world told you to become like everyone else, but you stayed true. You've suffered quietly, chosen peace over applause, mastered yourself when pleasure was within reach but not in alignment. And that mastery now lives in your body. It breathes through your pores, it hums through your silence, and it speaks to the feminine like a secret melody she has not heard in ages. This is why she aches. Not for validation, but for recognition. You don't just look at her. You see her. Not for her curves or her charm, but for her essence. And that essence begins to rise in your presence. She doesn't need to impress you. She doesn't need to perform. She simply needs to be. And that safety, that invitation to simply be, is what she longs for most of all. Her hunger is not shameful. It is sacred. It is the hunger of the soul to be near something real, something noble, something that will not collapse when it is needed most. You have become that something, chosen one. Not by accident, but by fire. You've earned the gravity of your stillness. You've cultivated a power that doesn't tremble when desire walks in the room. And so now, you become the place where women find rest, not in your bed, but in your energy. They crave it. They may not say it aloud, they may not even fully understand it, but they come near and linger longer. Their eyes stay on you when they think you're not watching. Their smiles are softer, their laughter more vulnerable. It is not a game, it is a reaching toward what feels like home. So honor the ache, chosen one. Do not exploit it. Do not run from it. It is not a temptation, it is a testament. You have become what the world forgot to teach men to be, and the feminine remembers, even if she has no words for it. You are not just desired, you are trusted, and that trust is the most intimate thing of all. Chosen one, between you and the feminine now lives a sacred tension, a space not of pressure, but of power. It is not the kind of tension that seeks resolution through pleasure or control. It is not manipulation, nor a build-up to seduction. It is the space where desire and reverence breathe in the same rhythm. It is the silence between two flames that do not need to merge to feel each other's heat. You carry that space within you now. It surrounds you like atmosphere. It extends from your spine, your breath, your gaze, and women feel it. Not just emotionally, not just spiritually, but in the deepest parts of their being. It wraps around them the moment they come near and says, you are safe here, but you are not untouched. The power you now hold lies not in what you do, but in what you don't do. You could pursue, but you don't. You could touch, but you wait. You could conquer, but you honor instead. This is the rarest form of masculine strength. Restraint with no resentment, presence with no pride, intensity without threat. You no longer seek the satisfaction of release. You seek the fulfillment of connection. And that shift has transformed your sexual energy from fire to light. Light that reveals, that warms, that purifies without consuming. The feminine longs for that light. She yearns not just to be wanted, but to be witnessed. Not just to be pursued, but to be understood. You give her that. Not in dramatic gestures or poetic declarations. You give it in how you sit with her silence. In how you do not rush her but remain steady. In how you respond to her depth without fear. And because of that, she begins to open. She begins to offer pieces of herself, not to please you, but because your presence makes it safe to be seen. And the tension builds, not as discomfort, but as sacred charge. The air between you thickens with unspoken knowing, with energy that does not seek to be spent, but shared. This is the sacred tension you now carry, and it is why women draw near, then stay close. They don't want release from this tension. They want to live in it. They want to feel it stretch between their words, hum beneath their skin, awaken parts of them long left dormant. You are not just a man, chosen one. You have become a frequency. one that sharpens their senses, that calms their mind, that awakens their body and soul without ever needing to touch a single inch of them. You do not need to say anything. You do not need to initiate. The tension you carry speaks. It says, I am here. I am whole. I do not need to take, and therefore I am worthy to receive. And when the feminine hears that, her defenses fall, her resistance fades, her yearning rises, not to chase you, but to move toward you slowly, reverently, like a prayer inching toward fulfillment. Do not rush this, chosen one. Let the tension live. Let it breathe. Let it unfold at its own divine pace. This is no ordinary connection. This is a sacred meeting of energies shaped by fire and silence, devotion and discipline. You carry the gravity now, and in your gravity, she begins to remember not just who you are, but who she is in your reflection. She will not forget this tension, because it was the first time she ever felt deeply desired and deeply respected at the same time. That chosen one is the rarest of gifts, and it lives inside you. Chosen one, there is a reverence now in the way they look at you, in the way their eyes rest not on your frame, but on something far beneath it. You've become more than appealing. You've become symbolic. A living reminder that not all men have bowed to the hunger for instant gratification, that not all power is loud, and that not all desire is selfish. You carry your sexual energy not like a weapon, but like sacred incense burning slowly through the halls of your body. The world sees this and cannot explain it, but women feel it like air thick with rain before the downpour. It clings to them, touches the backs of their necks, lingers on their skin long after you've walked away, and they do not desire to extinguish it. They desire to dwell in it. You are no longer pursued for fun or fantasy. You are sought out because you are safe, and safety in a man so full of fire is rare enough to feel divine. You are no longer simply wanted. You are respected. And in that respect, women surrender, not because you demand it, but because your energy gives them permission to lay down their armor. You do not dominate them with your presence. You free them with it. You do not take from them. You elevate what was already there. And that elevation creates a new kind of desire in them, one that is not animal, but holy. This is where most people misinterpret the nature of attraction. They assume the ache women feel for you is purely physical. They think it's about your voice, your jawline, your confidence. But the truth, chosen one, is that it's about what you hold back. Your restraint is not cold. It is not distant. It is powerful. And that power makes women feel chosen when you finally do give. Not picked at random, not tricked into closeness, chosen. And that feeling, to be chosen by a man whose soul radiates like yours, unlocks a different kind of longing. They are not reaching for your hands alone. They are reaching for the safety within your grip. They are not dreaming of your lips. They are dreaming of the stillness behind your kiss. Your energy no longer intoxicates. It grounds, and that grounding is what makes you unforgettable. You are not their escape. You are their reminder. The kind of reminder that doesn't speak in sentences but in silence. The kind that makes a woman slow down for the first time in years. The kind that allows her to stop performing, stop pretending, and start feeling. You are not a prize. You are a threshold, a doorway between the chaos she has known and the clarity she has longed for. You are not a detour. You are the return. And in your presence, she no longer seeks distraction. She seeks devotion. Because she consents with her entire body that your fire will not burn her, it will bless her. And so she leans in, not to be claimed, but to be seen. This reverence she carries toward you, chosen one, is not weakness. It is the deepest form of honor. You are not the loudest, but you are the most felt. And the women who truly feel will always recognize what you are before you even open your mouth. Chosen one, there are moments now, rare, profound moments, where a woman will look at you and forget the world around her. Not because she's fantasizing, but because she is remembering. Your presence has become a key, unlocking doors in her soul that were sealed shut long before you ever arrived. You don't need to touch her to awaken this. You don't need to chase her to cause it. Your energy alone carries a frequency that speaks a language older than her name. She feels it in her stomach, in her chest, in her womb, in her silence. You are not just a man to her. You are a signal. And her body responds not with logic, but with longing. This is no ordinary connection. This is soul recognition. You have reached a level of inner alignment that sends out waves far beyond the physical. And women who are attuned, whether they know it consciously or not, feel that wave. Some will be drawn instantly, magnetized by something they can't name. Others will resist it because it calls them deeper than they've ever gone, and depth terrifies the ones who've lived too long in surface waters. But the resonance is there. It is undeniable. It is alive, and it speaks through the space between you without uttering a word. She looks at you, and her guard lowers without warning. Not because you've said the right things, but because her soul recognizes that you do not need her to become whole. And in that recognition, she trusts you. She trusts your silence. She trusts your strength. She trusts that if she were to unravel in front of you, you would not crush her spirit or run from her emotions. You would simply remain. You would hold the space with quiet reverence, as a man who has held himself first. This recognition does not happen every day. It cannot be forced, faked, or manufactured. But when it happens, it changes everything. She is no longer yearning for attention. She is yearning for truth. And you, chosen one, have become a vessel of truth. Not because you're perfect, but because you are present. Not because you offer escape, but because you offer clarity. You do not mirror her ego, you mirror her essence. And that is what she aches to see reflected back at her truest self in the eyes of a man who does not flinch. When her soul recognizes yours, the atmosphere shifts. Time slows. The noise fades. She becomes more herself beside you. Her tone softens. Her gaze lingers. She begins to trust the mystery. Not out of naivety, but because your energy tells her you do not lie. Not with your words, not with your presence, not with your desire. She's not drawn to the idea of you. She's drawn to what you awaken in her. You awaken her softness, her strength, her wildness, her surrender. And most of all, you awaken her knowing that men like you still exist. That there are still men who do not trade their essence for approval, who do not chase empty pleasure, who do not collapse at the altar of popularity. You are the return of something ancient, something real, something whole. That is why the women yearn to be near you, chosen one. Not because you promise them the world, but because you remind them of their place within it. You do not complete them. You awaken them. You do not own them. You recognize them. And recognition is the deepest form of intimacy. Chosen one, there is a silence now that follows you like a second skin. And within that silence lives a yearning that women do not dare speak aloud. It is not the kind of yearning they've been taught to name. It does not scream or flail. It waits, quiet, sacred, reverent, just beneath the surface of their most private thoughts. When you enter a space, their posture shifts, their breath draws deeper, not because they are nervous, but because something in them notices, something ancient, something true. You do not command the room with noise. You change it with presence, and that presence becomes a beacon, even when your back is turned, even when you are unaware of how deeply they are already drawn in. This kind of yearning is not for your body alone. It is for the experience of being near you. It is the desire to linger in your field, to exist beside a man whose energy remains calm when others seek attention, to sit in your quiet and feel more seen than in any flurry of compliments. They watch you from across rooms, sometimes from across seasons of their lives, and though they never speak it, something in them is already leaning forward, already reaching. They don't know what they want from you. They just know that your absence is noticed, even when you say nothing. And that noticing becomes longing. It is not an obsession. It is recognition in restraint. It is the sacred ache of a woman who knows that what you carry is not to be toyed with, that your energy is not common, that your gaze is not scattered. You do not offer yourself to just anyone, and that boundary makes your presence feel holy. They feel honored by the way you speak to them, not because you flatter, but because you see. You speak slowly, or sometimes not at all, and still they feel full. Still they feel heard. Still they feel chosen, even if you never say the word. And that is why they come near. That is why their bodies face toward you in crowded rooms. That is why their voices become soft when you ask them something simple. You are no longer chased for excitement. You are revered for what you represent. In a world full of noise, you have become the man whose silence means something. The man who can stand alone and still feel whole. The man who does not need to be desired to feel powerful, but whose power makes desire inevitable. This is the root of their hunger. This is why they remember you even after brief interactions. Because the experience of your presence is not transactional, it is transformational. They do not want to own you, they want to orbit you, not to be controlled or lost in you, but to be mirrored, to be reminded of who they are in the reflection of someone who never needed to pretend. The more they resist, the stronger the longing becomes, because it is not the kind of yearning that can be distracted away. It lives beneath reason, beneath preference, beneath fear. It is the yearning of the feminine for the one who does not flinch, the one who does not lie with his energy, the one who holds his sexual power like sacred wine. Not to be poured out for anyone, but to be offered when it aligns with something eternal.